Welcome. We'll get started shortly. Before we begin, here's how to earn continuing professional education credit for attending this session. There are no polling questions or attendance checks. Instead, you will demonstrate your knowledge by taking a brief multiple-choice quiz using the Earmark app. Visit earmark.app in your web browser. You can also download the mobile app by scanning the QR code on the screen. Log in, or if you're new, create your free account. Be sure to use a valid email address because that's where we'll send your course completion certificates. From the home screen, scroll down to find the course. You can also tap the magnifying glass icon to search for the course. Tap on the course artwork, then the Enroll button. On the Course tab, you'll find the recording and quiz questions. Complete the quiz to earn your CPE certificate. It takes us a few days to create the course on the app, so if you are attending this session live, please wait a few days. We'll email you a link to the course when it is ready. If you have questions or need help, email us at support@earmarkcpe.com. And now, on to the event.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Streamlining for Success. How to prepare your firm for a smoother tax season. So I'm Amy McCarty. I am co-founder and director of advisory at Collective by DBA. I also am director of operations inside of Dillon Business Advisors. And I am joined today with Christine Nitsky. She is an advisor at Collective by DBA. And we're both excited, right, Christine?
We are excited about this one today.
Yeah, we want to just share with all of you on just tips and tricks. How do we smooth out tax season? It's inevitable for all of us in this industry if you are involved in the tax process. And while these aren't earth-shattering tips and tricks, these are just good reminders of things that we need to be thinking about and that we can be tweaking and planning now before we're in the heart of it. And so we're excited. We're going to jump in. Let's go through, Christine. Let's share the years of experience we have in the accounting industry and just helping firms think about these things and give them opportunity to walk away with just a couple of actionable items. So this is a good quote, right? It's a gift we can give to ourselves. So the gift we can give to ourselves, it's the best preparation for good work tomorrow is to do good work today. And we do good work today by planning for tomorrow.
Absolutely. We heard a quote recently, Amy, that said that great years are not built in January. They are built in November. So that's right where we are right now. And we want to give you, like you said, some tips and tricks so that you have a great year to build on.
Yeah. And even if, maybe it's not November by the time this lands in front of you and it's January or February, that's okay. You're going to watch this when it's right for you to watch it. And you can take tips any time of the year, even if it's earlier in the year. Maybe it's May, June. So these are good. Let's get into it. So planning is number one. It's the gift that, as I mentioned, we can give this to ourselves. Sometimes we have all intentions to plan and we mean to get around to it, but there's a lot of work that needs to get done. There's a lot of things that are always striving for our attention and potentially like stepping onto our list of, okay, we really need to sit down and plan this out, but I need to get XYZ done. So let's just kind of, what are all of the areas that we need to be thinking about as we're planning? And so it starts with just, what do we need to do? When you try to tackle something, Christine, how do you go about tackling this big, oh my gosh, I have to figure out all of these things. I have to figure out like everything that needs to get done. What does that look like for you?
For me, it's a checklist. I love a checklist, a to-do list. It helps me get everything out of here and into a space where it's not taking up any more of my mental energy, but I've captured it somewhere. And in a firm, it also helps because others can get involved when they can see the checklist and it doesn't live in my head. it can be a to-do list, a task list, a checklist. It can live in your systems that you're using to track work as well. But it's planning and getting it all out.
Yeah, you have to get it out onto a list somehow, digitally, on paper, whatever is the easiest for you to take what's in your brain and get it out. And that's really what we want to look through today is you have that list. The list is going to be similar for all of us. And how do we delegate and pull in reinforcements to help, right? So we're going to look at what needs to be done, who's going to do it in the firm, when are we going to do it? Maybe we know when it needs to be done, but if we have a team in place, do they know when it needs to be done? And then how are we going to go about it? How are we actually going to make it happen? If we go to your thought, Christine, on the list and getting that checklist together, that's exactly the place that we want to be starting. And so we started this list for you. And you could add more to it, right? But as we are thinking about preparing for the next busy season coming up, all right, we're going to have updates to our tax software. We're also going to have tax updates. We need to figure those out and what we need to know about those and who needs to know in our firm that information. But we've got clients that we've likely lost along the way. We've got clients that we've added. Those are in the system. The ones that maybe are still out there that don't need to be are the ones who have left the firm, whether we have helped them leave or they have left on their own. What else do we got out there, Christine?
Yeah, there's a lot here right at the year end, right? We're looking at tax projections for clients too, and who's involved in that, and what are the steps that we need to take to get those projections going. Having conversations with our clients at the year end. Our calendars are probably pretty full with client meetings and client calls, and we're talking to them about maybe some bonuses and doing some tax planning and doing those projections. So there's a lot that goes on at the end of the year. So having a list to make sure nothing gets missed or overlooked, it's just a way to stay organized, right? And we even talk about fee increases this time of year too, and who needs to be involved in that. And then once the decision's made, then who's communicating all of that, all of those things involved, all of the what do we want to get done as we're getting ready for our busy season.
Mm-hmm. And that planning team retreat that's on there is equally important. Maybe you don't do a team retreat until May. Maybe you do a summer retreat with your team. Whenever that team retreat happens, that needs to happen every year. It's an opportunity to celebrate what the team has done and to make sure that everyone remembers the vision and the mission and the values of the firm going forward, to put the wind in their sails, right? What's a common purpose, a goal that we have? What are all of the goals that we have? Because we're about to go into heads down crunch time, and it's really easy to get lost in all of the busyness. And so that's an opportunity to really take time to appreciate everything that has happened, because we easily forget about it. So we have this list put together. Now, depends size of firm that you are currently in. If it's you're doing all of these things. If it used to be you and you've grown the firm, then you have a team of people who can help get all of those things done, because we know that that's a lot for one person to do. And if you are one person, you're likely looking for additional assistance. Maybe it's part-time assistance. But recognizing all of the people that exist or potentially exist inside of our firms that are willing and capable of taking some of these items on, if we set them up for success in doing it, right? And so firm owner, leader, everything lands on you. Always has, especially if you started a firm. Maybe you grew up into the owner leader in the firm. Maybe you acquired another practice, whatever it looks like. You've worn all of the hats before, but maybe you also have an admin team or an administrative team member, part-time, full-time. A client service manager, so in our world, that is accountant would be equivalent there. Our client service managers are doing all of the daily work, daily bookkeeping, payroll, closing months, right? Sales tax, all of the daily things to keep clients compliant with their books and clean and up to date. Our client controllers could be tax accountants in your firm. Those are our team members who are responsible for all things tax. So they issue the financial statements to clients, and then they're doing tax returns, tax projections, tax estimates, right? If it relates to tax, they're the team member that the client's going to. Client CFO is the advisor of our teams, right? They are meeting with clients, having those high-level business strategy conversations. So in this list, this may represent 3 people inside of your firm, may represent 20 people inside of your firm. Did we leave anybody out here, Christine?
Well, I don't think we left anybody out, but as we're talking about who needs to get the work done, I think there's a good rule of thumb here. And if you are that firm owner or leader who's maybe still sitting in each of these seats to some extent, we want to talk about delegating, right? And I think that's where we're headed next.
Yeah, you teed that one up perfectly, right? Delegation is the key. And so when we think about delegation, we've just got your 3 main focus areas for best practices. You need to know who you're going to delegate to. They need to understand what you want them to do. Clear instructions, expectations, and when does it need to be done sets them up for success in deciding priority level of what you've given them, right? If it doesn't need to be done, if it's not the top priority item, they need to know if they have client things on their plate that they're also trying to get done. And then delegation is not micromanaging, right, Christine?
It's definitely not. And if you're a firm owner who's still doing some admin work, I think there's a kind of a good rule of thumb to go by, which is don't do $25 an hour work. If you're spending a significant chunk of your time doing $25 an hour work, it's time to delegate. And on the first cog on this slide is choosing the right person. And if you don't have that person, it's time to hire that person. You, as a firm owner, need to be looking at processes, systems, and strategy overall. But if you're so busy day to day doing the work, we're not leaving enough space for you to do the things that you really should be doing.
Yeah. I'm glad that you brought that up, right? Like $25 an hour work, regardless of if it's 25 or inflation makes it 50, whatever. The best use of your time as a firm owner or leader is business development. And that doesn't just mean sales and bringing on new clients. It also means looking for opportunity inside of your firm, just as you said, Christine, to do things better, to increase capacity, to upsell services to existing clients, right? And you don't have the mental space to do that if you are tied, as you mentioned, so down deep into the weeds in the transactional work and getting it done. So what we want to spend time going through is those 5 positions we just saw on the last slide. What is the purpose of that position, role inside of your firm? And then what tasks align best with that person? And so that will hopefully start to give you some light bulbs of like, oh yes, I can start to delegate this to said person inside of my firm. Delegation doesn't happen overnight.
No, it sure doesn't. And again, back with the checklist too, I think if you're in that position where you're about to hire that right person or you're about to delegate, it's making the checklist of the things that need to come off your to-do list. Again, clear expectations, right? And so letting them know that this is now their responsibility, but get it off your checklist, get it off your to-do list, get it off your calendar, and fully turn it over to someone else.
Yeah. All right. So let's start firm owner leader. Now, if that's you listening right now, okay, purpose of your role in the firm. is to provide strategic direction. You're the key decision maker. It's on you to ensure the overall success, the profitability of the business, right? So that it can continue to go on, that you can continue to pay your team members. Would you add anything to that, Christine?
I would say it's supporting the team members too, right? So it's providing them all of the tools that they need. That might be education in there too, whether you're providing it or you're finding a resource for it or delegating that as well. But it is the strategic direction of the firm and the support of the team.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you have a team, the combined efforts of everybody is greater than each individual person, including yourself there. So, okay, tasks that align best as a firm owner or leader that support your purpose, right? And we can elaborate on just the support of the team as well. But, okay, we need to know profitability and budgets. This is something that so Christine and I have been in the industry. Christine's actually married to a CPA. So just FYI for everyone out there, Christine, I hope it was okay that I shared that. But what's interesting is we are helping clients to review their profitability and their budgets day in and day out, right? Like that is what, as an accountant in our industry, that's what we're helping our clients do. And so all too often, what Christine and I see in working with firms is that we set our own firm off to the side and we're not always looking at that. But how true that is, it's okay because it's true in every industry. I'm married to a plumber. Is the plumbing in my house like great? Probably not as good as the clients that he's working on. So it's common, but it's so important for us to be looking at that information, to be analyzing our current capacity, to be running our business as a business, right, is really what it boils down to focus on past achievements and plan those future goals.
And ask yourself, would you ever advise a client to run their business the way you're running your practice?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good question to ask yourself. Is if you were going to walk into your firm and you were new, right? And you were walking into it, what would be the first thing that you would do? First thing that you would change? So it's a good thing to step out of your own shoes for a moment and analyze it from a different perspective. Okay, this is firm owner, leader, purpose of role, tasks for that role. Let's move on now. Okay, so firm owner, leader, this is what we should be focused on. All right, we need to move some things off of our plate. So let's get to the administrative team. If you don't have an administrative team, there are a lot of administrative functions that you are doing. And so if you find an opportunity to have a part-time or full-time administrative team member, then what they'll be able to help with is supporting an efficient operation of the firm. They can take all of the administrative tasks that are not the best use of your time and not the best use of your production staff time and start to assist with those. So some of those tasks are listed there. Christine,
and Amy, I would say also another good rule of thumb for your administrative team is for every 3 to 4 producers, you should have an administrative support person. That's typically what we've seen with all of the firms that we've worked with. And that feels really good. They're able to get that off the production plate and focus mostly on billable work while allowing these support people. Your administrative team are the one that really run the firm. It starts and ends with them.
Yeah.
If you're in a team of 3 model, like Dillon Business Advisors is, running very efficiently, you can have fewer than that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But what you will notice and what we've seen working with hundreds of firms over the years is your ability for your production staff to have more production hours. Not that we still track time inside of Dillon Business Advisors. It is a key metric. Not that We're not billing clients by the hour. We're using it as a data set to analyze information. That's simply what we're using it for. So it's a good data set to have. But with adequate admin, our production is spending more of their time on billable work and less of it, even if you factor in all of the CPE they need to take and the holidays, vacation time, sick time, like all of that, they still can be at a higher production percentage than if they were also doing all of the intake and all of the outtake and all the things that the administrative team focuses on. So if we look at just tasks for this role, especially as we go into planning, right? We're going planning into tax season. So our administrative team's cleaning everything up in all of our applications. Client list gets cleaned up. What do we need to change with our project tracking, how we're managing work, documents, where are we storing those? Do we need to archive them? What does that look like? Where are there opportunities to improve process, specifically as it relates to tax? So where is the pain in getting engagement letters signed and getting organizers out or checklists out and receiving documents from clients and getting them to sign their signature forms, right? And just really starting to revisit. We visited it after tax season to look for opportunity, but we need to like get back into it, right? After a little bit of a break, depending on how your extension season looks like. And then really what sets everyone up for success here is the last bullet under tasks for role, getting or creating a time block schedule. What am I going to focus on? And this is really important depending on the volume of work that you do inside of your firm. There's a lot in tax season, a lot of intake coming in, right? All clients uploading documents, sometimes piecemeal at a time. So you have that coming at your administrative team. You have the output of returns going out to clients coming to your administrative team. So even maybe, depending how large your admin team is, segregating roles there on who's going to focus on what. And do we have some overlap for when things get very, very overloaded?
Yes, and if you have a number of administrative team members already, they can help to lead or teach that tax process too. Or you can position someone in a lead role to help educate the other administrative team members in your firm too. My old firm, we had just that. We had someone who was a lead admin, and she was amazing, and she took it on and was able to document, educate, and made sure that there was consistency throughout.
Well, yeah, that's when you really learn, is when you have to teach somebody else, right? Like,
yes.
You got to learn it first, then you got to do it, and you really know it when you have to train somebody else on it, which then also just gives you the ability to be like, wait, why do we do it this way? Or the new person that you're training can also be like, why are you doing it this way? Because it's Sally, same as last year. It's how we do it. Okay, let's get into CSM accountant role. So I described earlier, right? Purpose of the CSM role is this is the present, keeping the client and handling everything in the present. So up-to-date view of its financial health for our clients. That's daily transactions in QBO, that's paying bills, that's handling sales tax, that's payrolls, etc. At year end, what the focus is here is, okay, we have W-9 requests that we need to make sure that we have all of the forms that are necessary in order to file those 1099s. That is what the CSM can be doing technically all year long as they are working on the client information monthly and seeing vendors that are coming in and being able to check that, right? And getting into a cycle of staying on top of it at least quarterly, because then when we get to the end of the year, it's only the last quarter that we have to see vendors that maybe now we need to issue 1099s for. They also have, Christine, to your point, the leading or learning team training on year-end processes. So what is the 1099 process we're going to follow this year? What special payroll bonus runs do we need to be doing for clients? What's the W-2 process look like? Do we have all the depreciation in there that we need? How are we going to manage the additional work of 1099s during January when we're also working on closing out December and doing all of our normal tasks in January, right? Creating that time block schedule.
And we've also added in here too, a self-review or a team review in here too. If your firm is doing that at the end of the year, don't forget to leave space in their calendar for that. Some firms have moved to doing that after busy season when there's a little more time to breathe and you've had a chance to get through that rather than at year end.
Yeah. No time is right or wrong, just that it happens. Just that it happens. That's the most important thing. And the way it happens is it's scheduled. So if it's on the calendar, it will happen. If it's not on the calendar and we want to put it on the calendar, but we keep putting it off, then it'll be 2 years, 3 years. It'll be your entire firm before you're like, we've never done reviews inside of our firm before. All right, let's go into our client controller is CC there, which also tax accountant. So purpose here, keeping clients compliant with all tax laws, making sure, as I stated earlier, what tax saving strategies do clients need to be aware of? How do we help do tax projections, some tax planning? And at this time of the year, right now, it is November right now for Christine and I, and that is tax projection time. We're finished extended deadline, depending on weather-related activities and location of where you are. Your tax season might be extended still, but we're just going to go with a normal 10/15 was the deadline for everybody, 9/15 or 10/15. And so focus is making sure that estimated tax payments, we know what year-end bonuses clients want to be running or need to be running in order for their tax liability to potentially be minimized there. Depreciation, is that accurate? Have we been tracking that? Appropriate life method out there? What do we need to teach others? Or what do we need to learn about the tax process? Are we changing a tax software? Are we implementing a new team member into the tax process? All of those things as it relates to getting close to tax season and getting prepared, right? Because controllers will be busy in January processing all of the business returns that they've been working on throughout the year, helping CSMs with managing books and issuing those financials. So come January, they will be able to prepare those tax returns as soon as the tax software is ready for those to be filed. And so what can they be doing to get to that point and reviewing now, or starting to set up to be able to review come the beginning of January when those December books are closed?
And Amy, you had mentioned it earlier when we talked about the CSM or the accountant. You said that they work in the present. This tax accountant works in the past, right? And so this might tee you up right away for your next one, which is who's working on future and who's doing projections, right?
Yeah. So future is client CFO. Client CFO is really thinking and helping that business owner think about what is their overall business strategy, what's their goals, and how can we help them achieve the financial goals that they have, provide that oversight for them, do planning, and just keeping them on the path that and the vision that they have for the business that they started, right? Because, and this is even true for any business owner, accounting firm owner running a business, right? It's easy to get distracted and to be like, oh, we should try this opportunity over here. Or, yes, we should be offering that service to our clients, or we should do this for our clients, or right? And does that align with the vision and the mission that you set? And it's nice to have somebody to be like, wait a minute, I thought you wanted to be doing this, and just kind of to check you. And so the client CFO understands and has a relationship with that client to know if you're just kind of veering. So why are we veering? Take me down this path. Is this something that we really do want to pursue? Or do we need to get back on the right path? And look, the goal was to grow your existing business and you wanted to expand locations and add additional team members. And so talk to me about what's changed. Kind of an example there.
Absolutely. It's a coaching role to some extent, right? And it's asking a lot of questions. So if advisory has at all been scary at some point along the way because you feel like you're not going to be able to answer every question that a client throws at you, I would say don't worry about that and don't let that be your holdup. This really is a question-centric role because they're asking questions like you just said, Amy. Well, wait, I thought you said you wanted to expand and you're opening another location. Where are we at with that? What's your decision on that? And it's asking good questions.
Yeah. And then listening, right? Ask a good question and then let your client talk, because your clients will tell you exactly what they need from you, or their answers will guide you to what you need to be doing for them. And so one thing like this time of the year is make sure that meeting invites are going out to clients for them to schedule a year-end planning meeting, right? If that is an additional fee, then they need to know that that service exists and that that is an option for them. Sometimes what happens is we know what we do, we know what we offer, but we're also living in our firm every day and working it. And so we assume that our clients know exactly what we do, but they're not living in our firm. They're living in their own world right now, trying to figure out their own stuff. And so they don't have a lot of time to pay attention to what we are also doing. So it's an opportunity for us to communicate what we're doing. For us inside of Dillon Business Advisors, it's an automatic email that goes out or can be set up to automatically go out, right? For clients that we do have annual meetings with, quarterly meetings with, so that client has opportunity to schedule. So how can you automate the meeting invites to clients? They will be meeting with the CFO. But then same as we talked earlier, as a firm owner leader, having a firm retreat, which is really the opportunity to recognize what did we achieve inside of the firm? Like, what have we done? We've done all these great things, but then we blow past them because we want to get the next great thing done. And we want to get the next great thing done, right? And while it's great that we're doing all of these good things and we're continuing to move, we definitely have to pause and reflect. And so a client CFO does the same thing for clients. Help the client celebrate everything that they've achieved. How much have they grown their business? How many goals have they hit? How much progress have they made towards their goal that they set with you at the beginning of the year, at the end of last year? And so opportunity to celebrate and then set future goals. And so every past goal that we celebrate gives us more confidence to push ourselves a little bit harder with the next goal, right? And if we don't take that opportunity, we're just missing that extra step we would take where, okay, we're still hesitant. Like, yeah, we've done all this stuff, but we still have this imposter syndrome and we don't feel like we can actually accomplish it. And so we're just going to take this baby step when really we just need somebody to be like, look you've moved 10 miles. You only wanted to move 5. So if you only want to move 6 now, why don't you bump it up to 8?
Absolutely. It's not looking back and celebrating the successes is a little bit like having a younger child in a long car ride with you. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? With no appreciation of just how far we've actually gone so far. Yeah. And it can be really motivating to those who aren't paying attention to it, to your team members who are heads down doing the work. When you take a minute to stop and celebrate, in many cases, they haven't even thought about that. Oh yeah, we did do that. Yeah, we did do that. That was fantastic that we got that accomplished. So it can also be motivating or energizing too, to know that, okay, heads down, we're doing great work.
Yeah. The other important thing client CFO is doing at this time of the year, prepping into the next year, is supporting CSMs and controllers. So CSMs, again, remember, they're making sure we have W-9s. They're cranking through all their monthly work. They're also about to process 1099s and W-2s. And so supporting them. What do they need? Is there anything that they are lacking? Is there training that they need, understanding that they need on solutions or process? Same with controllers at the end of the year, and supporting them all year long really is the role of the CFO. But as we approach a busy time, it's important to make sure that that's happening. Okay, so we've looked at 5 roles. Again, you could wear multiple hats here. You could have team members wearing more than 1, 2, 3 hats, but thinking through really what's the purpose of each role, and giving this some thought now as you start to delegate. What are things that are living on a team, on your own plate? This is how you're going to start. What's something living on your own plate that you could delegate to somebody else? And then challenge each person in your firm. What is something on their plate that they can delegate and or automate? That is really where you're at, because you might not have somebody to delegate to, right? Administrative team might not have somebody to delegate that task to. Well, then how do we automate that task? And so that can be a focus at a year-end retreat with your team. What's one thing that we could delegate? What's one thing that we could automate for each individual person on your team? That will set you up for success into the next season. Because even if it's only one thing, it's one step that you took that you could have not taken, right? And it just gets you closer to smoother and smoother season.
And time savings too, right? Focused on the important things.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we have all these things we need to be thinking about at the year end. We have appropriate people that can be helping to make sure that we're thinking about all of these things. And so when does it happen? And what we've done inside of Dillon Business Advisors, which I have up on the screen here, is Rachel Dillon created this service calendar, which is all of the things that happen over the course of a year, right? And so, sure, we have a practice management solution in place, and that practice management solution has all of our client tasks in it, or projects, whatever you call them. So how many clients are we doing payrolls for? Cool. Every client that we do payroll for has a payroll task out there at the frequency at which we run their payroll and the team member assigned to it, so that we know it gets done. Every tax return has a project out there, and it has the steps that it goes through and each person involved, so that we know exactly where it's at in the process of being completed. But then we also have all these internal deadlines that are happening that previously maybe lived just in Rachel's head because she was doing a lot of it, or lived in Marcus's head because he was doing a lot of it. And getting it into a calendar. In fact, this service calendar is actually a shared calendar inside of Outlook now for the entire team. But this is listing when do internal trainings happen for the team. And those are on a scheduled recurring basis. When do we send tax engagements every year? Oh crap, it's getting close to that time. Like, we want to get those out at the end of November. When are we doing special communications to clients about special bonus runs and what other year-end information they need to know, and office hours and holiday hours, right? All of that is now documented in a nice service calendar PDF that team has available to them, but also on a shared calendar. So what gets scheduled gets done.
And what you can see, like in this, you can plan for, rather than it springing up on you. You know, there's maybe a deadline that's this Friday, but you didn't look at it until this week, right? Because that's when the calendar is set on your desktop or your laptop, is to just show your work week. But with a calendar like this, you can see and plan ahead and make space in your day and do your calendar blocking to get ready for these deadlines.
Yeah. Yeah. Planning is, again, the gift that we give ourselves. It's what takes a hectic, chaotic day, week, month, and just makes it, I want to say, more peaceful. Because when it's planned, it's not an emergency, right? It doesn't feel like everything's an emergency. Like, oh, what fires am I going to put out today? I mean, sure, you're still going to have fires. You can't plan everything. You can't plan every legit urgent situation, but you can plan knowing that, look, every year we're going to need to communicate to clients. Let's put it on the calendar. Every month we need to make sure that the team is getting trained on internal processes, on new technology, on soft skills, whatever it might be. It's an important continual development that we want to make sure is happening. And so getting those on the calendar. Yeah. Now, we talked a little bit earlier, Christine, but you know, tax season's crunch time. There's a lot of work in a short amount of time, depending on if the deadlines stay where they're at or not, right? But how in the world do we get everything done when there's so much to do?
Ooh, you have to get organized, right? And work with the tools that you have to get you there. And it's creating those checklists, creating the processes and document it. It's creating the who's responsible for what and putting timelines on it, just like we said, right? But the best system is the one that you'll use.
So true. So true. And you know what? A technology won't fix a process that's broken, or, you know, so it is the one that you are currently using. And so if you're struggling to figure out how to get it all done, we need to do some planning. We need to use some time management, right? If we have a team in place and we know that we should have capacity, we've looked at our numbers, but we have teams struggling to get work done, then there are various time management options that are out there. You literally, I think the other day, I asked ChatGPT, like, what are the top time management? And it, you know, of course, because sometimes it's awesome, it rattled off 10 different time management options, and use the one that works best for you inside of your firm. Try a couple different ones. Ask your team, what do they like to do? Because everybody has a different preference. One that we have found success with is time blocking. And time blocking is where you're just chunking up your days and your weeks, your months, into what are you going to focus on. And so it gives you focused blocks of time. Now you have to honor the time blocking. You can set up all the time blocking in the world, but if you don't honor it and you let everything like impede into it, then that time management one is not going to work for you. But if you look at time blocking, especially during January, when there's a lot going on with like CSMs and also handling 1099s, right? Focused effort there for them to decide, okay, I'm going to run my payrolls in the pink time slots on the screen there. I'm going to work on these specific clients and working through their books in our light blue spots, and just setting that. Even at like controller level, okay, what are we going to focus on? Let's crank through tax projections, and then we can move into the support of the CSM and CFOs. All right, let's have office hours in order to be able to address all of our team's questions, so that we also have chunked blocks of time in order to meet with clients and to help with some strategy planning for those clients.
And I think that's important, Amy. You've got that shown on the screen here in the top part. This particular role, they take that first part of the day to do planning, and to do follow-up. It's checking email. It's asking the team if they have followed up on anything or need help following up, or do they need any information from you to do their jobs. And then the other yellow on there too is team meetings and being available throughout the day for that kind of support, or checking email from clients and responding. So it is important to schedule that and build it in. Otherwise it takes over or it doesn't get done, worst of all.
Yeah, it doesn't get done is definitely the worst of all. So we've gone through just tips for smoothing out tax season. And it really starts with identifying what are you doing that you don't need to be doing, looking at the team that you have and the ideal roles that they could be filling and what they could be helping with, right? And continuing to plan, what does that delegation look like as we go into the end of the year and as we go into the beginning of the year, right? Because it is small things. The small little things that we do now will lead to big things in the future, and will continue to smooth out those huge peaks that happen during tax season and throughout other parts of the year, right? And so just how do we make small tweaks? It's ultimately what we're after. One step in front of the other will get us to where we're going and will help us along the way. So if you would like a copy of that service calendar that we shared, we'd love to share it with you. You can scan the QR code, request resources from our Collective by DBA page there. We're happy to tell you more about that and access to other resources that are out there, from just helping you manage your firm, support your team, make sure everybody knows what they need to know in order to get all of their work done. And Christine, any final thoughts to share with our listeners?
Just a reiteration of what you said earlier, Amy, about just making small incremental changes. I think as humans, when we make change, we're looking for this big needle moving change. And it's really the small little things that add up over time. And those are the ones that we really want to focus on. And I think that's most important. And we've given you lots of tips to do that today.
Yes, we have. All right. Well, thank you for listening, everyone. Christine, thank you for your time today.
Thanks for having me, Amy.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.
Today's event has ended. To earn CPE, go to earmark.app or scan the QR code on the screen. Then log in or create your free account. Search for the course by tapping on the magnifying glass icon on the home screen and then entering the name of this event. It takes a few days to make the course, so if you're attending this event live, keep an eye out for an email letting you know when the course is available. Pass the quiz to earn your CPE, then tap the button to email yourself a certificate. Stay tuned for more events from Earmark. Thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you again soon.